Welcome. I'm Brian Herbst. I'm Chief Strategist here at UnifiedCommunications.com, and I'd like to welcome you to our second event that we're calling the VR Binar with our good friends at Logitech. We did this once before. It was a ton of fun. This is, I think, a really unique format, and we really enjoyed it. Hoping that that you feel the same. That this gives us an ability to walk through spaces and explore technologies. And in this case, technologies that truly are optimized for hybrid work. And so I'm joined again by Alex Mooney, who is Alliance and Go-to-Market Manager at Logitech. Alex, thanks so much for coming back for round two.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Ryan.
Great. Well, before we get started, I just want to remind everyone that the Q&A pane is enabled. This is a new pane in the Teams webinar format. This is not chat. Chat is disabled, and this is a functionality that's part of Teams webinar. So we're going to try to take questions during the last 10 to 15 minutes of the event. If we don't get to your question, our team will reply post-event. So, but feel free to start asking questions now. Also, I know that that many of you are enjoying lunch courtesy of Logitech. This was available to qualified attendees, and just wanted to say big thanks to Alex and to Logitech for sponsoring the lunch for the qualified attendees. And with that, yeah, Alex, I think we've got plenty to cover. Super exciting on the heels of Ignite and a bunch of big announcements. So yeah, let's jump into the virtual world and start talking about what it means to really optimize for hybrid. So Alex, I'll let you share give us an intro into this fun world that we're back in together.
Absolutely. Hopefully you can hear me well now, and we'll jump right in. Yeah, thanks, Ryan. So first things first, I'm here in VR. So if you see my headset and controllers, I'm actually wearing these in real life. So this is how you'll kind of track me through the space. But as Ryan said, we're here to do another virtual reality webinar, try to walk you through the technology for these optimized for hybrid spaces, and hopefully show you some of the concepts that went into actually creating some of this technology. So Ryan, why don't we just start with a small room to kind of get everyone familiar with the space and show them some of the technology here.
Great.
So first things first, this is a small room. We've already optimized this space by selecting furniture, which already lays everyone out here around this sort of trapezoidal table. We've also selected a few pieces of technology. I'll call them out quickly, then we can walk through them. The first is our Logitech Tap. This provides a consistent join experience. That's really important as we bring users back in the office. We have lots of experiences. We want a consistent join experience. They can just walk up and touch to join. This is really great from Microsoft Teams. It provides a familiar user interface for every single room. And you get that familiar Teams UI, so you see that scheduled meeting, you can touch to join. From there, we wanted to select our conference camera. Because this space is laid out in this arc, we wanted a wide angle camera, and we have a small room here, so we need to make sure our microphone and speakers can cover the space. So we selected Rally Bar Mini. Rally Bar Mini has a 120-degree field of view, so we can easily see everyone here as well as users that go to the whiteboard. And it has dual cameras. So that's kind of the camera we've selected. And then, of course, we selected a display here. We're using the Jupiter Pana display. We think that this wide format is really nice for these rooms. You could, of course, use your 16:9 display, but we really like stretching out the content and providing more real estate for using this front row layout. And it's important to call out here, too, while Rally Bar Mini and its larger sibling Rally Bar have CollabOS, which is Logitech's Android-based operating system, which runs Teams rooms on Android directly on the bar. In order to use Front Row, what we've done is we've actually added a Windows PC. It's really simple. You just add a USB cable, and now this is a Teams room on Windows-based room, which allows us to kind of add some of this greater functionality along with our Teams Room Pro license. So maybe, Ryan, you could just tell us a little bit about why we selected a Pana display and kind of the concepts that go into using that type.
Thanks. Yeah, I think from this concept of optimizing for hybrid, and we're going to spend the majority of our time today really kind of talking about what does that mean from a practical perspective of creating an environment that is engaging, as engaging for the folks outside of the room as the folks inside of the room. And so I think I love that we're starting with this. This is a pretty simple concept to pull off, but really we're trying to bring that remote experience into the room. So you're seeing us use a ultra wide format display, and part of the reason is that we want to default to the front row layout in this room, because that layout is going to bring a lot of that out of meeting world, the chat and agenda and raise hand, and a lot of that experience that's taking place outside of the room into the room. So here we picked an 81-inch ultra wide 21:9 display, and we would default this room to come up with this front row experience. It doesn't mean that you couldn't change to a different layout, a traditional gallery layout, if you wanted to, but we think this is ideal. The furniture, as well as Alex shared, very intentionally created to ensure that the folks sitting at this table are able to see each other, but they're also able to have a really good engagement in terms of angle with remote participants. And furniture is really important here. I think we're going to look at a couple of different rooms, and furniture makes a huge amount of difference. And so I think when we call something optimized for hybrid, and certainly, I guess at this moment in time, that often involves a change to furniture. It could be that you just happen to have the right furniture, but I think being open to changing furniture based on this huge impact that it could have on the engagement side is often something that we would recommend be considered. From a camera perspective, we're really focused on trying to leverage, kind of pick the right horses here. And from a Teams perspective, there is a lot that Microsoft is doing. They introduced, for those that watched some of the blogs or participated in Ignite last week, the intelligent camera story, which it has been packaged into this concept called IntelliFrame. There's multiple different kind of flavors of IntelliFrame, but the camera that's shown here is really using the best of those flavors, meaning it's a camera that is capable of producing multiple video streams. And the idea is that today, folks that are on the remote side of a meeting that involves this room would see either tracking different speakers in the room experience, or very, very soon they'll see kind of a grid experience where you'd see those folks kind of put into something like a 2x2 grid. But in the very near future, because this hardware is capable of sending multiple video streams to teams, and because Logitech is engaged from an engineering perspective with Microsoft, then this kind of future, not so far in the future experience, this near-term experience is going to be that folks in this room will show up as individual participants in the Teams meeting. And so it's kind of maybe the most exciting flavor of IntelliFrame. Additionally, from an audio perspective, this room is pretty easy to pull off. It's all audio just encapsulated in the bar. And so from a deployment perspective and cost perspective, these aren't the legacy, complicated rooms. This room is really simple. And then certainly in terms of trying to take folks that are on the remote side of this into beyond a audio and video experience and into ideation, that's where adding a content camera to a traditional physical whiteboard, Logitech Scribe that we're showing here, can make a huge difference. And arguably with this technology deployed, we kind of need things like this to be able to call it hybrid, because otherwise our remote participants are really disadvantaged. And when you have this Scribe technology, the remote participants see as good as anyone in that room, other than maybe the person who's standing in front of the board drawing at that moment. We'll certainly talk in other rooms about the idea of going even further with something like Surface Hub that would allow not just viewing of the ideation, but actual participation in it.
Absolutely. This is I think that really sums up this room really well. And just to call that out, you mentioned IntelliFrame, and we did select Rally Bar Mini in this room. Its larger sibling Rally Bar, which we'll see in another room type, do have both of these dual cameras. That's really powering what we call Right Sight 2. This is the underlying Logitech technology that we're working really closely with Microsoft to integrate there. So when you hear IntelliFrame, there's multiple versions, but the key takeaway here is Rally Bar Mini and Rally Bar absolutely will work in this construct to provide you both group view, framing the whole room, speaker view framing the active speaker while also adding another stream for context, as well as grid view, like Ryan said, which displays all the users around the table in their own boxes and logically laid out in the order that they are around the table in the room. And so we're hoping that as the IT community, you have the flexibility to choose the layout that's best for your far end participants based on your room type. And if you're not sure about which one, please get in touch with Unified Communications. These guys are experts and they can help walk you through exactly what you need. Maybe we should go into the next room. What do you say?
I'm excited about the next room.
Absolutely. So as you're coming in here, I will just highlight this space is has gone through a couple of different names, but this is the signature Microsoft Teams room, and we're really excited about this. There's a lot of coverage at Ignite talking about this space, and so what is signature? Well, first things first, we've got some technology in the space, we've got some furniture in the space, but fundamentally what we wanted to do was take what would have been a medium to large size meeting room here that was rectangular, reorient all of the users so that you're actually laid out really comfortably around this big 21:9 display. And that's really what we've done here. So we took our big rectangular table out and we replaced it with this curved steel case ocular table that we're showing here in the room. The technology we've selected is of course Logitech Tap, again with this complicated sort of look as users walk in. Hey, this is different. It's not the normal room type I'm familiar with. We need to increase confidence. It's actually really simple. This is the same Teams room you know and love, but with even better functionality. So we've selected Logitech Tap. Tap provides the consistency, makes it easy for people to be confident. Hey, I can walk in and join, even in this different layout. We've also added mic pods. One of the reasons we added mic pods in this space was twofold. Number one, you see that we have an open hallway behind the display. We wanted to bring the microphones a bit closer to the users. So we placed the mic pods here on the table. These are Rally mic pods. They work interchangeably with Rally Bar Mini, Rally Bar, and Rally Plus systems. It also co-locates this mute button really close with an arm's distance, arm's reach of the users at the table. So it just makes it really simple and easy for them to utilize the space. We've selected Rally Bar Mini. Again, even though this is a slightly larger space than the last room we looked at, we chose Rally Bar Mini because of its 120-degree field of view. And because with that 120-degree field of view, we're going to easily capture everyone's faces in here, be able to leverage those technologies such as grid view to divide up the space and put everyone in their own place, and also be able to capture users that might be using a collaboration technology on the other wall there. So let's say you wanted to add a Surface Hub to this space in a coordinated join. Excellent layout for this space and room type. And we would encourage selecting a camera with that wide angle field of view to make sure that even when a user stands up and moves to the Surface Hub, that they're able to be seen as well there. Lastly, we have this really large layout. Again, just like in the last room, we're going to default to front row as our layout in this room type. It really makes this room type sing. And so in this layout, we have this really nice gallery. I'm actually going to add something here. I'm going to turn on some heads in the seats just so that you can see the various users in the room. And the reason why is because I want you to be able to see that the reason we've selected this room type and the reason we've selected this gallery type is because it lays everyone out on eye level with the users in the seats. So you get a really natural eye gaze between the in-room user and the out-of-room user. And that's ultimately why we've placed the camera slightly below the gallery here to try to connect that eye gaze and make a great experience. Ryan, did you want to add anything to this room type?
Yeah, would love to. So I get really excited about rooms like this. And one of the reasons is this really, at this moment in time, this is available today, and this delivers the closest thing to a face-to-face experience with our remote participants. It's also probably better for in-room participants than you would imagine. I think when I had originally looked at kind of a table like this and thought about what this would feel like for the in-room participants, and then I actually ended up sitting in a room like this, and we have a room like this here at our envisioning center in Houston. this is a great experience even for the folks in the room. It's much better than sitting all on the same side of a rectangular table, which we often do and don't complain about. But the physics in this room just really allow for a very engaging, different experience. And this is not likely to be all of your rooms. This could be, one per floor or a couple per building. But this is the type of room that I would pick if I was going and really wanting to have the best possible experience that includes our remote folks. And so, as Alex shared, there's been a couple of different iterations of the naming of this type of a room. You may have heard us call it an enhanced room in the past. You may have heard us say optimized for hybrid. And I think the term the official term for this room now is a signature teams room. And a couple other things that we'll note about it. Certainly, in addition to the right furniture that is creating the right angles, the right camera and field of view, we're using again, as Alex shared, an ultra wide screen. This is a 105-inch display. The height of the displays intentionally set close to the eye level of the in-room participants. This type of room, we're showing it with a LCD display. This type of room can also be done with an ultra short throw projector, either mounted on the floor or in the ceiling. Microsoft has shared some of their designs, what they're doing internally, and they're doing a lot with an ultra short throw projector, floor mounted on a stand. So yeah, very, very intentional here. And again, we explained the IntelliFrame capabilities of the camera, and coupled with Logitech's innate capabilities, are really going to deliver today. I'm excited because I know we're going to talk about some more traditional rooms and some things coming in the near future where we're going to be able to bring a very optimized experience to them as well. But today, this is what is actionable, and this is what we can do. The idea of adding Surface Hub to a room like this, we think is super important. So Surface Hub would take this experience beyond audio and video and content sharing. And this would allow us to have this coordinated experience. And for those that are not familiar with the coordinated experience with Surface Hub, essentially, when the Teams room joins the meeting, the Surface Hub would automatically join the meeting. There's intelligence to know so that Surface Hub knows not to use its built-in audio, so it won't create an echo. But at that moment, we're now presenting to users in that room both a canvas, both an additional display that can kind of, even when we're sitting down, I think more importantly, you can get up and you can engage both with folks in the room and remote participants with everything from Microsoft Whiteboard, which is available in Teams meetings. And there were some big announcements at Ignite last week around being able to bring up, for example, a whiteboard that I worked on recently inside my Teams meeting. All of that carries through to Surface Hub, but Surface Hub goes even further because it runs applications. You could log into it and bring your OneDrive and file history, and it runs web apps and it runs Office apps. And so there's a lot that we can do in terms of actually creating and ideating with both the folks in the room and remotely when we bring Surface Hub into this signature Teams room experience.
Absolutely. And I just love that idea of being able to bring these technologies together in order to fit the use case of the room. And this is an exceptional room type. We love this. You did touch on traditional rooms and future technology. Maybe we can go take a look at a couple of more traditional style laid out rooms where we didn't change the furniture around in the space, and take a look at some new technology from Logitech we just announced called Logitech Site. And maybe the concepts that helped us to design it. So we're actually going to start by going into this small room, but just to give you an idea of what Sight is a brand new camera from Logitech. It's a 315-degree center of room camera that works in conjunction with the front of room to intelligently switch the camera view to always show the remote participant in their best view. Now, to kind of help you get an idea of why we decided to do a center of room that works with the front of room as a pair, I can maybe show you a couple of concepts if that's helpful just to visualize. So maybe you can come into this room with me and we can just start by looking at a couple of different camera angles.
Sounds great.
All right. So before we unveil Logitech site, let's talk about some of the concepts that we had to kind of go through. So the first thinking was, let's optimize the far end experience by optimizing the field of view of the primary camera at the front of room. In this room, you'll see we selected Rally Bar. Rally Bar is a great camera. It's the larger sibling to Rally Bar Mini. It features all the same capabilities of Rally Bar Mini, but with an even bigger optical camera. You'll notice that here with the Rally Bar in the front of the room, you're actually seeing the field of view of the camera. And with some of those various views, you're able to really capture people when they're the active speaker really well. One of the struggles, though, with a front of room only camera that our users are seeing is that when this user turns to address the in room users, you'll notice we're now no longer able to see their face. And so we need another viewpoint in the room. You can actually maybe change the camera view here, and let's look at this side of room camera. So that the next concept that we thought of was, what if we actually put cameras around the room at approximately eye level to see everyone's faces? And in this orientation, you'll notice, hey, you actually have an eye level view of this user in this chair, and you're able to see their face. However, this user next to them, you're not able to see them at all because they're blocked by the user on the near side of the room. You can, of course, move these cameras around and try to find the most optimal position for them, but ultimately they're very prone to being blocked by the users on the near side of the room. So it's an inconsistent experience. And so we decided that wasn't the best. Now, like I said, you could optimize the position. Some we thought, maybe we kind of go to the stadium view. So we kind of raised the cameras up here so that you could actually see from a different perspective in the room that would not be blocked by the far end participants. So here what you're seeing is kind of a more clear view. You're not blocked by anyone, but now you're sort of seeing this stadium type view, this sort of security camera looking down, seeing the top of people's heads. And this is also a challenge because the far end user doesn't feel like they're sitting at the table with the people in the room. And so we ultimately decided that this was not going to be something that really worked for an inclusive meeting experience in a traditional room either. So then we thought, okay, logically, the next thing that we want to do is maybe create a 360-degree field of view center of room camera that would allow us to kind of showcase what that looks like. But there's an inherent flaw with creating an only 360-degree view camera, and that is that while I can now see this user and see their face really clearly from the center of room camera, when they turn back and look at the front of room display to address the far end participant, I'm now looking at the side of their head again. So really, I traded the same problem I had with front of room for a center of room camera. So same problem, but in a different order. So we really wanted to come up with a way to show users' face at all times, regardless of whether they're addressing the front of room or the center of room. So that's where we decided to get Logitech Sight into the mix. So here it is. This is Logitech Sight. I've placed it here on the table, and what you'll notice is that it is a center of room camera with mic pod built into it. It has dual cameras here, left and right of the column, and that provides a 315-degree field of view, and you're able to capture everyone's faces. Now, why 315 degrees? Well, what we want to do is capture everyone's face really clearly without any edge blending or warping or anything like that. And we wanted to be able to make sure that we could see their face from the center of room perspective. But now I know what you're thinking. Okay, so you just showed me a center of room camera and why it doesn't work. So Sight is not a standalone center of room camera. It's more like a video pod. So just like you have a mic pod that you add to the room to extend the audio capabilities, this is a video device that is added to the center of room to extend the video capabilities of Rally Bar and Rally Bar Mini. So when you use this in conjunction with the front of the room, this same user that we see in this first seat, we're able to both see their face from the front of room when they're addressing the far end participant. And then when they change position to look at the rest of the room, we automatically switch to the view from Sight to show their face regardless of which direction they're looking. So by using both cameras in conjunction, we're able to always show the very best viewpoint into the room to the foreign participants so they feel like they're at the table and an active participant in the conversation. So we're really excited about Logitech Sight. This is brand new. It was just announced, and we're shipping this next year. We're really hopeful to begin a beta early in the year, and so we're really looking forward to getting your interest captured. If you want to know more about this and maybe designing spaces of these products, we encourage you to reach out to Unified Communications. Let them help you walk through the spaces and select the best technology for your various room types. There's one other thought that I want to share, and that is that while this medium-sized room type works with Sight, we do have a larger room here. And so shortly just after launch, we're actually going to be expanding the capability of Sight to be able to be daisy chained to add multiple Sight cameras to a single room. So again, in this room, we have Rally Bar, we've added a Logitech Sight, and then we've daisy chained another Sight to it. So we have two cameras in the table ready to go. And this is really, really easy to install and add to your existing Rally Bar Mini and Rally Bar deployments because it uses a simple category cable that can be field terminated in order to daisy chain and connect Sight back to Rally Bar and Rally Bar Mini. So hopefully you're enjoying this. If you want to learn more, you can see that at logitech.com/site. But really the best resource is to just reach out, book a design session, and kind of walk through these technologies and experiences for yourself.
So a lot to unpack here. And so I'll just tell you, I love this concept. And so part of it, as we take a step back and even take a step back, a couple of months ago, and we were talking about this idea of a traditional room where we are not necessarily changing furniture. It's a room that was designed originally for across the table engagement. And these are probably very popular throughout most of the folks that are on this webinar. This is likely what you have deployed. Certainly pre-pandemic, what was in most of our rooms. And there was a resistance sometimes to taking something like that signature concept and saying, we want to do that everywhere. There is some real value in across the table engagement. And so historically, our answer would have been, you can do some things in this room. It is still going to be kind of the experience is going to favor those in the room versus those on the remote side. Although we can bring folks on the remote side into the experience, and we can do a decent job with that using things like Rally Bar and Rally Bar Mini. This concept of having a front of room experience and a center of table experience, both video enabled and not being mutually exclusive, is game changing. So this is really big because, as Alex shared, each of those concepts have been around for a while. We've had 360-degree cameras, on the Microsoft world, going back to the Office communication server days, and we certainly had some great front of room experience devices that we have, but each of them have come with a compromise. And so this idea of this not being mutually exclusive, that it's both, not either or, changes the dynamic where all of a sudden a room that we used to call a traditional room is very much optimized for hybrid. Arguably, it's super optimized for hybrid. And so, and while this isn't available at this moment, like if we needed to do something, we would go to the signature rooms today to go get something done, this year, that kind of thing. This is coming really soon, and there's a path forward where we can still deploy as a traditional room with a front of room device like Rally Bar Mini. And then we can follow on in a second phase and bring Sight and just elevate that experience, as Alex shared, just with some cat cable between the table and the wall. And so hugely impactful here. And as we think about it, again, this idea that at launch we'll have the ability to put one of these on a table, but shortly following that, the ability to put two opens this up, not just for a medium or small room, but going into large. Maybe, Alex, let's just talk about the idea of how is audio happening in this room when you put something like Sight on the table, and we've got a bar in the front. What's our speaker? What's our mic? I thought that would be helpful for this audience.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, In this room type, there's a couple of things that are important to understand. The first is at Logitech, we really believe that the sound should come from where the video is. Now, there's obviously going to be room types and use cases where this isn't always practical. But as a general rule, to drive consistency and to just drive a natural user experience for most of your room types, we believe that you putting the sound and the screen in the same place is important. That doesn't necessarily apply to microphones because microphones are obviously going the other direction. So in the microphones, you want to put them as close to the users as possible. So in this room type, what we're doing is we're taking the speakers from Rally Bar. If you're familiar with a Rally Plus system, Rally Bar is sort of like Rally Plus condensed into an all-in-one form factor to make it easy to deploy. So this is going to be pretty powerful and room-filling speakers coming from Rally Bar. Now, because we've added Sight, I mentioned earlier that it's both a video pod and a mic pod. So we actually have our most advanced beamforming mic array built right into Sight here. And again, like I said in the signature room, we're co-locating that simple, easy to reach mute button to the table, so it's easy for everyone at the table to reach. Sight also has a mute button for the audio right there on the column so that these users sitting here at the table can simply reach out and mute if they need to. So in this room, speakers are in the front of the room with the display. Microphones are these super advanced high-end microphones in Logitech Sight coming from the center of table. So you don't actually need any additional mic pods in this room where you've deployed Sight.
Yeah, there's a concept that that we're thinking a bit about from a design perspective, where we might actually even add, like on these sidewalls, we may add some additional displays, so that when folks are having that across the table conversation, they don't have to. But there's some beyond, I think, this core concept, which is going to be super simple. There's going to be some additional concepts that get really exciting that we're playing with. But yeah, we couldn't be more excited about what Sight is going to do to improve the experience in a room that's not going to require a lot of effort in terms of, we're not going to have to change the table. We're not going to have to make some of the big decisions around room capacity and orientation that we do in the signature rooms. While again, the signature rooms we think make tons of sense. They'll continue to make sense even when when we have just because they create such perfect physics. But yeah, this is going to change the game in a very big way for traditional rooms.
Precisely. And, we understand that your organization may have a variety of room types, small rooms, large rooms, rooms that you can afford to go in and fundamentally rethink from the ground up, and maybe rooms that you really just need to deploy equitable meeting technology today. And you need to do so in a really scalable and fast manner where you don't maybe have the same lead time that you would to fundamentally rechange the rooms. And so we want to do is create at Logitech, we want to create as much choice and flexibility to empower you to make the decisions best for your organization. And we really encourage you to work with your partner, Unified Communications, to help you select the best technology for every room type. So just like you saw, we had a small room with kind of a trapezoid or guitar pick style table that easily laid everyone out. You're going to be able to get a great experience with just the camera, providing that grid view. In the signature room, we want to really rethink it, really make a super, super high end, curated, bespoke experience, curve table, the whole 9 yards. And that is going to create a really great experience in that room type as well. And then for these room types where you're not ready to change the furniture, but you still need an equitable meeting experience, we have technology that empowers that. And so, really, to kind of bring these two pieces together, Logitech creates great hardware, Microsoft creates incredible software and AI based features, as well as really equitable sort of meeting experiences with front row layouts and so forth. We want to make sure to fuse all this together. And our partners at Unified Communications, Ryan and his team, I can say are exceptional at being able to help you navigate all these choices and select the best option for your room type. So I don't know, Ryan, if you want to invite people to on how they can get reach out and get to know more about
Yeah,
how they can leverage
absolutely.
that.
Yeah, we're as part of the post-event follow-up. We are offering a complimentary strategy session, focused on how to optimize your environment for hybrid. So you'll see that as part of our post-event follow up, including a link to this recording. So if there's others in your organization that weren't able to attend live, they can see it. The Q&A pane, and I know we stated this at the beginning, but there were some folks that joined just after that announcement. You'll notice this is Teams webinar, and we've disabled the chat, but we've enabled the Q&A through the Q&A pane. And so I know we've got a question in from John that we'll answer in just a moment, but wanted to encourage others that have questions about anything that you've seen, including site or how you can optimize for hybrid or otherwise, to place your questions inside the Q&A pane. Yeah, I would say with that, this has been just beyond exciting. I'm hoping that those that are watching are just seeing kind of what the future holds for how much and what we can do today, which is great, and just how much better it's going to get. I know that we have a giveaway, and I think that the way we're doing this giveaway, it's going to be for the first couple of folks that sign up for a strategy session, that you can end up with a Zone True Wireless certified for Teams. And but yeah, with this, I think we'll let's move on to Q&A. We'll say goodbye to our virtual reality world and jump in. I know we've got a question from John, which I'm publishing now, and that question, which is perfect. Alex, is site fully certified for Teams, and does it integrate with IntelliFrame, the concept that Microsoft announced last week at Ignite?
Yeah, I love this question, and thank you so much for asking. So, Logitech Site is a brand new device. It's not shipping yet, and there's a process to go through team certification. So no, it's not certified yet. This is something that we're working very closely with Microsoft on. So we, as with all of our devices, we expect that certification is an important step in order to delivering that to market. So we're working closely, we're working on it, and stay tuned for more information on that front. As far as working with IntelliFrame, there's multiple categories of IntelliFrame. This is a brand new concept that was announced at Ignite. We would encourage you to reach out to experts such as Ryan and his team to kind of walk through these questions. But a simple answer is yes. All of these meeting experiences, whether they're from Rally Bar Mini, Rally Bar, with Logitech Site or without it, are all going to be within the concept of IntelliFrame and the various structures there. So it's a lot to unpack. It's all brand new information, but absolutely great question. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, and I would just add on the IntelliFrame side that these devices are being designed to provide the kind of highest level of IntelliFrame capabilities. That they're being designed to be able to share multiple streams of video from the room into the Teams meeting, so that in the not so distant future, you'll be able to see not just a grid view, which is exciting, of the room sitting inside one room pane in the meeting, but individual participants. Some of those individual participants will get broken out as individual participants inside the actual remote Teams meeting. So thank you, John. Great question. And we have a question from Surya. How many participants are recommended per site?
Hey, this is also a great question. So there's a number of different sort of capabilities that we can do. For example, if you're doing speaker view, then we're always going to optimize the far end participant to be looking at the active speaker. In this orientation, one site maybe could cover a table with 8 different participants on it. If you're using something like grid view, then obviously there's going to be limitations based on the number of devices in the room. You may need multiple sites in order to capture everyone in their own space and so forth. But for things like grid view, where you're really trying to lay everyone out logically around the table with more focused views of each person without the extra kind of wasted space in between, you're going to be able to do that. And site will intelligently adjust whether it's capturing one person or 2 people within a single box. And that way, you always get a really optimized layout. There is kind of a theoretical maximum to the number of tiny boxes you can put into one layout in the gallery before it gets confusing. So we're working really closely with our friends at Microsoft. We will follow their guidance on the number of boxes that they want to expose in the layouts. And Microsoft has done a fantastic job to date of providing these experiences. So yeah, more to come on that as we go. But the key here is that we are working to optimize the switching of camera views so that regardless of which view you're using, group view, speaker view, or grid view, you're always catching the perspective in the room that's best for the far end user. So you're always seeing people's faces.
Yeah, and based on having both sight on the table, having Rally Bar's principal camera in front of room, but importantly, having the AI sensor that's built into Rally Bar and Rally Bar Mini. So this is going to give that additional AI sensor is going to allow the system to make intelligent decisions around which camera to show at a given moment. And so that's super exciting. So I guess last call for questions. This has been fun, and if not, we'll wrap and we'll get everyone a copy of this recording. And but I just give it a moment if anybody has additional questions related to anything that you saw today from Logitech Unified Communications or about Teams rooms in general. Great. Well, I would say with that, special thank you to Alex and to the Modus VR team for joining us today. And for those of you, whether you're watching live or on demand, the team here at Unified Communications, we would love to continue this conversation with you. We are offering a complimentary device strategy session that's going to be led by one of our strategists to lean in again and have a discussion specifically around how we can optimize your environment for hybrid, leveraging tools like what you've seen today and rooms like what you've seen today. So please be on the lookout for that. Also, I know, Alex, is it the first participant that the first one who responds and books a strategy session will get that Zone True Wireless, which is a spectacular product as well.
Absolutely.
So yeah, big thank you, Alex, and to the team. And with that, we will call it a wrap.